As you can tell, I am a sucker for science fiction, as you can see right here. But I'm kind of curious on how this movie will go since this is a Netflix film, and generally, a lot of the times I feel like Netflix can either make some good movies or really overdo it. This one, I don't know. This one might be it, especially since it's coming from an actor. He's not directing and co writing, so we'll see.
My mom, she said, you never loved her. But you would have loved me.
The Kitchen was co-directed by Kibwe Tavares as well as Daniel Kaluuya, and Daniel Kaluuya also has a credit for also co-writing it with another Daniel Emmerson. The film stars Kane Robinson, Jedaiah, Bannerman, Hope Ikpoku Jr., Teija, Kabs, Demmy, Ladipo, and Ian Wright. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, in a dystopian future London where all social housing has been eliminated, Izzy and Benji fight to navigate the world as residents of the Kitchen, a community that refuses to abandon their home. I was kind of interested to see what Daniel Kaluuya could bring to this movie since I have seen him in quite a few projects, but this is his first time, I believe, directing something for the first time as well as co-writing something that I've seen from him. For this film to be co-directed, I think this film succeeds. Here are some of the positives that I found with this film. The performances are all great across the board. Kane Robinson is, I think, excellent as Izzy, a man who is desperate to leave his life in the kitchen for a better one. I think Robinson portrays Izzy as a loner who doesn't get emotionally attached to people due to growing up in this environment, and I really think that works really well throughout the movie alongside actually a up-and-comer actor. Really another standout performance in this film is Jedaiah Bannerman as Benji, a 12-year-old boy who just lost his mother, who Izzy knew years ago. And I think Bannerman portrays Benji as a young man who's going through grief and feels lost and feels as if he's got no one to look up to or nobody to help him out. And I also think he portrays him with a bit of curiosity as well as excitement when he starts to kind of open up to Izzy, and they both share a bond. I think both Robinson and Bannerman work extremely well together. They both bring emotional and humanity to their respective roles, and I think they play off each other really well with developing their relationships throughout the movie that you see as the film progresses. I also think that another up-and-coming actor, Hope Ikpoku Jr., who plays Staples, who is the leader of a group of vigilante activists who takes a liking to young Benji, I think he plays him also really well. I think that he plays Staples as a man who has grown up only knowing violence and anger towards the upper class people because that is the environment he has grown up knowing that whenever police show up to the kitchen and start taking people out of their homes and all that stuff, he really believes in the idea that violence is the only answer to solve this situation without actually recognizing that there are better ways to tackle than that. But that is what he grew up knowing. And I also think that he also shows a bit of charisma and charm when he starts to show his softer side when he's with Benji. And I think both Bannerman and Ikpoku Jr. also have great scenes together, as well as to show how Staples is trying to influence Benji to kind of become like him in a way. And then you also see what Izzy's response to that and how he's trying to influence Benji to not become him or Staples in that regard. I also think that both Kibwe Tavares and Daniel Kaluuya's co-directing of this movie is very well. It clearly shows that both directors capture the dystopian aspect down very well, but they also know how to capture the intimate and humanity of what the kitchen's community is and what life is like for the residents under this sort of hostile but also peace-loving community that is just thriving off of people who cannot live in other areas because they have been subjected and pushed to this area, but now they're being pulled out of it. But yeah, I think the co-direction between Tavares and Kaluuya works really well. They both have a keen eye on what they're going for, and I think it works really well, and it adds to the style and substance of what this film is supposed to be, and it's really through the direction that it shines. I think the cinematography is also gorgeous throughout. Cinematographer Wyatt Garfield keeps the film grounded, but also showcasing the expanding world building by showing this dystopian future very well. And I also think he knows how to capture the intensity, the emotional, and human side of the world, because we do, of course, see a lot of trauma in this film with regards to how the people, the residents, are being subjected to gentrification, being forced out of their homes to then possibly be rebuilt into a new complex area. So now how that's captured is so well done, and I think the camera work is just excellent throughout. He really amazing stuff, and I'd be interested to see where his career goes after this. The music is, I think, also fantastic. I mean, artists Labyrinth and Alexander Baranovsky really capture the futuristic style and vibe of what this movie is going for. I think when the quiet moments happen, the music captures those moments and the intensity moments as well throughout the film. I think the music just fits the style of what Tavares and Kaluuya had in mind. It has that like modern hip hop with like R&B and synth wave to it, and it's so beautiful throughout. I think it works really well to what this movie's vision is supposed to be of the future. I think the writing is also really good. I mean, of course, written by Kaluuya and Emmerson, I think they really capture the culture of this community, of the kitchen, but the struggles of the authoritarian powers that keep people in line, like showing how these people are living on a day-to-day basis. They're going about their normal lives, but then you also have the police coming in and dragging people out, and then you get to witness kind of the aftermaths of those situations and how people feel, how that community feels, through also Benji and Izzy, and how that affects not just them but also just the community as a whole, because then that also leads to Staples and how he feels about how police are just kicking people out. I think they really captured the feeling of belonging and loneliness through Izzy and Benji that audiences, I think, will grow to attach, that I think makes you really want to see them and have them work off of each other, to have them be the emotional support that they need at this time in their lives. I think the production is incredible. The film scope feels small, especially since this is Netflix, because usually I feel like Netflix would take something like this and make it so big and grand. And while I do think that the world building is like that, it really isn't. It's actually fairly small with what this story is, that it doesn't feel like it needed to be any bigger than this. I think this movie works pretty well with what it's trying to tell you. And I think just from the location, costumes, and the production design, as well as the art direction, I think fits well with what, like I said, with Tavares and Kaluuya's vision of what this movie is supposed to be like. I also think that the story is amazing. Seeing Izzy and Benji's relationship is handled really well, and it makes the audience really care about their relationship and how they are very supportive with each other, or at the very least, like how they start off as kind of standoffish, but then they start to kind of open each other up a bit once they get to actually know each other. Also, the dynamic that both Izzy and Staples' influence has on Benji shows how both men, how both of their lives can affect younger generations. It's this idea that their backgrounds, their troubled upbringing and how they view the world and all that stuff can then affect younger generations. It's this idea of carrying that burden onto other generations down the line, and that it can affect people so much to the point of they can become them in that way. The themes presented in the film fits with what society is facing is, I think, really stellar. I think the themes like oppression, loneliness, grief, and belonging play a big role throughout the film. Seeing how characters are affected in this way. The film does, I think, a fantastic job of tackling these issues that plague this world. Not just in this film, I think just in general, what people have to face in communities, but really minority communities, what they have to go through in terms of how society looks upon them, or what they do with them in these larger areas that are a lot of times being oppressed by the police or by society as a whole. While I think the film is great, I do, however, have two issues that really hold this film back from me. And so here are my negatives. One, I think the romantic subplot between Benji and Ruby, who played by Teija Kabs, a girl who lives in the kitchen, I think it really is underdeveloped. Though the film has like a scene where it might lead to somewhere, it never really goes anywhere, and it just is kind of left behind. It's almost like it's set up, it's there to just have a romantic part of the movie, but it just never fully develops into the film, and it just kind of feels like a sore thumb or just something that I think could have worked, but it's just not fully developed as it should be. I wish this movie also had this going for it, which is I wish there was also a outsider's perspective, because there really isn't one. You're mainly within the confines of the kitchen as a whole. Though you could say that Benji could be seen as like the outsider. What I mean really is I would like to see how the higher ups, the government officials, the police, what they view the situation, if there are any people that are for with what the police are doing and all that stuff, or they are against with what they are doing to the people of the kitchen. And what I mean by that is something along the lines of Andor, how that show portrays both the oppressor and the oppressed, how you see both sides of things, and it lets the audience know how both sides are viewed and what they think. And I think that works really well to what the film is just trying to convey, but I just feel like without the oppressor, you just don't feel that momentous weight of understanding and fully fleshing out this world. I just wish they had add that element to the film, because I think that would have made it much more intriguing and much more interesting to see that because there really is no outside perspective. Overall, I think this is an excellent start to Daniel Kaluuya's debut as a director and a writer that I'm really eager to see what else he'll come up with next or what he'll be directing next, because I truly believe that this could be a really good start for his filmmaking career. So yeah, guys, I would give The Kitchen an 8 out of 10. I think this is a great film. If you have a chance to catch it on Netflix, please do. I highly recommend it. I will be reviewing Madam Web as well as Bob Marley's One Love. So yeah, look forward to those reviews and other movie TV show reviews coming soon.